Our duty of practice is the highest duty we have. The practice of one who is a Samana. A Samana is one who lives in a heedful way, responsible for their behavior and dedicated to understand how to relate to phenomena with awareness and clear comprehension. You probably know already the qualities of a Samana, but we can talk about them again. Samana is one who has to depend on the four requisites offered by others in order for their rupa khandha to survive. So we follow the path of the Lord Buddha, and we have these four requisites to depend on. They arise to us. The first quality of a Samana then is to have sila, be established in sila, to be one who sees the danger in samsara, one who sees the inconvenience and suffering of living in samsara, just as the Lord Buddha did. The Samana must train themselves to live in a way that they are restraining their actions, their speech and their thoughts, training them to be wholesome, training for dispassion and the fading away of lust. They practice letting go of all unwholesome dhammas that are obstacles to mental development. This practice of sila we can also call sila samvara, a restraint in our sila, restraint in our actions, restraint in sense contact, as the eyes see forms, ear hears sounds, and so on. As the ayatana contact their objects. We practice sense restraint to prevent craving from overcoming the mind and leading on to mental proliferation, indulgence, and eventually suffering. This is indriya samvara, sense restraint. It is the way of one who is heedful, practicing with mindfulness and clear comprehension to protect themselves from danger. In other words, that which brings us or threatens us and can bring us to our minds to degenerate and fall to a lower level. The Lord Buddha pointed out that there are many dangers to us, to one who practices the Dhamma Vinaya. Those dangers can lead us to retreat from the teachings, to become lazy, heedless, and to resist the Dhamma. They can bring us to feel like we have no energy and don't want to put forth any effort to train. So we have to preserve the practice to avoid falling into delusion and intoxication, particularly with the things that we consume, such as food and drink and other requisites. We must develop patience and endurance, and the opposite of those states of mind that are based on greed and obsession with our stomach and getting more things to eat and consume. We have to understand what is karma sukhalika nuyoga. It's the way of one who indulges and enjoys the pleasures of the five senses, pleasant sights, sounds, taste, smell and touch. We train to prevent these different objects from possessing us, from taking power over our minds. So we train with mindfulness and clear comprehension until we can see them, the truth of them, that they are really just as shadows without real substance or essence. But we must put forth effort to overcome desire. The most difficult one is sexual desire, because it's the most basic, deeply ingrained instinct of all living beings. It binds us to the world. It makes the mind caught up, not free, not independent. So reflect on the teaching the Lord Buddha gave to Venerable Ananda when he requested some guidance as to how to deal with females to avoid falling into inappropriate behavior or lustful states of mind. The Buddha taught him that best of all, just don't see them, avoid them, stay away from them, so that you can avoid falling into sensual attachment and moods of lust. The Buddha said we must be very, very careful of this. If we have to see them, what should we do? Ananda asked. Well, don't talk to them. Have the minimum involvement. If we need to speak to them, what should we do? He asked again. The Buddha replied that we should establish mindfulness and clear comprehension. Know beforehand what you have to say. Know what kind of speech turns the mind towards lust so that you can avoid that kind of speech. Know where the place of kilesa arises, where the place that kilesa arises is. But we also establish mindfulness and understanding that where kilesa arises, it also passes away. Where dukkha arises, it also ceases. We train the mind to prevent it from falling into lower states, unwholesome states based on lustful attachment. Don't let the mind indulge in these kind of sense objects that lead to attachment and lust. Don't let the mind become deluded. Protect and guard over the mind to keep it free from danger. Don't let the mind fall into negative states. We have to use the qualities of hiri and ottappa to do this. These are the guardians of the world. It's that strong sense of shame and the fear of the consequences of wrongdoing. Apply this at all times as you use your 6 ayatana, your sense bases. The Samana uses his senses with care and restraint. They must contemplate their own sense contact at all times, recollect and remind themselves of their status as a Samana, remind themselves of their lifestyle, the fact that they're an alms mendicant, totally dependent on the goodwill and faith of others to survive in this lifestyle. It requires us to be restrained, especially with members of the opposite sex, because we are one in training, we represent the religion and we are dependent on alms. This training is for our own benefit because it helps us to free ourselves from suffering, but it's also for the benefit of others. We can take our own knowledge and understanding and share this with others and teach them Dhamma. And we also have to be an example for them. So we have to reflect on the truth that this body is aging all the time. It's going towards decline and degeneration until dispassion arises, until we have that wisdom and insight. Another quality of the Samana to reflect on is bojjhane matanyutta, in moderation in what we consume, being one who is careful in what they consume in terms of the 4 requisites. Because these 4 requisites are a basis for sensual attachment also. So don't be one who hoards away many things, keeps a lot of possessions and seeks to have a lot of possessions. Learn moderation, learn to be modest in your wishes and desires. For example, we have 3 main robes to protect us from the elements and the insects. We don't need a lot. The Buddha allowed us enough, but not too much. So we're learning to let go of desire to accumulate many things, many robes, many requisites. Remind yourself that you're a beggar, an alms mendicant who has to depend on the alms of others to survive. Learn to be one of few wishes, and this will help you to be peaceful. We train ourselves in this, and this state of contentment where we have fewness of wishes will arise. We'll learn to be content with our robes, our food, our dwelling place. We learn to live in close touch with nature, not seeking a lot. Ruka Mula Senasana, learning to live at the foot of a tree, is an important part of our practice. It's an important reflection. You think about it. The foot of a tree belongs to no one. It's the most natural of all dwellings. So we learn to live in close harmony with nature, and this has a good effect on the mind. It's a cause for peaceful states of mind to arise through this sense of contentment with what we have, learning to be content with what we have. This is a state of mind that is suitable to develop and progress in the practice. Remember, a samana is one who is homeless, and they've left the house. They aren't seeking to accumulate a lot of wealth or possessions anymore. And they're one who is free from attachment to possessions and wealth. They just make use of the things that they need to live. But all the things that we make use of, they really belong to the Sangha. They're owned by the community, not ourselves. And on an even deeper level, you could say they're owned by nature. Nobody at all owns these things. Nothing belongs to oneself. This is the quality of one who practices Bojjhane Matanyutta. Chakaryanuyoga, another quality of the samana, one who is dedicated to using their time wisely for the practice. They reflect on the fact that the time is passing by day by day. Our rupa khandha, this body, is subject to change and aging all the time. They reflect on this to break down the delusion, that sense of clinging to existence and hoping or expecting things to last forever. So they start to live in a heedful way, dedicated to the practice, dedicated to understanding the truth. They train themselves to abandon the causes of suffering from the mind, all those negative states. We reflect on the fact that time is passing by and we become urgent, have a sense of urgency in the practice. We need to keep developing these qualities of the samana to see where we need to develop and keep looking to see where we need to develop ourselves further. Where are we still lacking in our practice? We develop a sense of willingness and contentedness to be practicing, to be in seclusion, to be dedicated to the practice. And people, for one, living in seclusion, and they don't look to have a lot of socializing or involvement with relations with other people. Say, for instance, somebody asks you a question like, what is this place for? Referring to the monastery. You might answer simply, it's a place where we practice the Dhamma Vinaya, without a lot of complexity or seeking a lot of interaction. You maintain the sense of inner knowing and mindfulness at all times. You realize that this is the best place to practice the Samana Dhamma, developing this inner knowing, secluded from the defilements, secluded from the world around. This is the real place of peace and quiet. We understand and get to know what conditions support the arising of this inner knowing. Say the night time is a very suitable time for practice. There's few people around, the world is quiet. This is a good time to quietly meditate on your own, reflecting on the simple truths of the fact that we're bound up with old age, sickness and death, and we're bound to be separated from all that we love and like. Really practice contemplating this until this insight becomes established in your heart, until you really see this truth. This is the result of training yourself. As you train, you'll become one who has these samana dhammas in your heart. You'll be one who is practicing with heedfulness. And this is truly following in the path of the Lord Buddha, our teacher. It's the quality of one who clearly sees the value of their human birth and sees that the highest quality or potential of a human being is to develop the practice. If you use this opportunity to practice in this way, then it will also protect you, guard you against danger and obstacles. You have to make use of what you have. Look at the things around you. For instance, the foxes that live here in the forest. They use the cover of darkness to protect themselves while they go out hunting, because they have so much danger from man and other predators. We must be the same. Whatever the time of day or night, we use the practice and the practice of restraint and heedfulness to protect ourselves, to protect these qualities of the samana. We protect our sila, protect our right view, and so on. We must learn to protect and preserve these virtues through the practice, using wisdom. Where does the sangha, or the qualities of a sangha member, arise from? They arise from the Dhamma. What is the Dhamma? It's both the pariyatti Dhamma, meaning the study and learning and hearing of the teachings, and also the patipatti saddhamma, the practice of the Dhamma. This is where the qualities of the Arya Sangha arise from. One who practices well, practices directly, practices with integrity, practices with insight, sees the danger in samsara. In short, one who develops sila, samadhi and panya. This all combines to bring forth patiweta Dhamma, the completion of the path, the realization of truth. This is the fruit of the well-trained mind, a mind that is free from wanting, free from craving and desire. This is the mind of the Samana, or the Arya Sangha, and it arises from the Dhamma. So today I give you my anumodana. You've all looked after me and provided every convenience while I've been staying here in the monastery during this period. I apologize at this time for any inappropriate behavior on my behalf, and I would just like to wish you all success in your practice. May you find and come to realize the radiance of the Dhamma Vinaya in your own hearts. May you all progress in the Dhamma and become free from all unwholesome states and all health obstacles as well. Even though we cannot preserve our health indefinitely, eventually we must get old, get sick and die. At least may you have the best of health while you practice, and may you all come to true happiness and peace in your hearts.